Hello, everybody. Welcome to another episode of Station Talk with me and the boys. We got our main man, Mr. Rex.
Hello.
And we have our Mr. Beard.
It's pocket.
Today we have not really anything structured, just going to go off the rails.
Yes. All I have to say to that is yes.
Always off the rails.
Anyway.
We just kind of got together and decided to hang out, and now we're recording a podcast
Pretty
to
much.
see where this goes.
Yeah. Hopefully this can become a more consistent thing. Really hoping that it does. Let's talk about the big thing that's happened. Presidential debate.
Oh my god.
I honestly, I don't care who you're voting for, if you're voting for anyone, but
Same.
that was a very different debate than what we've seen, the U.S. has seen in past election years. It was very chaotic, is the best way I can put it. I think everyone here can agree that it was not. It was interesting, to say the least.
Oh yeah. In my personal opinion, Trump bodied him. He was just hitting him again and again.
Yep, he was a bully.
Well, both of them were pretty good in the debates. I'm not gonna lie. I mean, I know people have seen his, Biden's like past conditions, and he hasn't really been that great. But in this debate, he was pretty good.
I mean, they were both pretty good. I expected going into it to be a landslide, and it wasn't, honestly. There were both candidates could have done better, of course. No one's perfect. There's also things that they did really well, and that they did do really well. So, yeah, that was the big thing that's happened yesterday.
My look on the debate, I don't particularly like either candidate, Biden or Trump, but the closest comparison I could make is if you had like two Beyblades that were really loosely put together and you battled them.
Which one falls apart last?
Yeah, basically. That was a mess, dude.
Oh yeah. I watched the whole thing live. Surprisingly, it was on YouTube, and I wasn't really watching. I was listening to the debates as I was playing Apex Legends. So it was kind of funny when Trump was talking about how Biden, gave him a terrible military, while I'm like shooting people in Apex Legends.
I remember I was polishing my dress shoes, and I was tuning into the debate.
All right there, shoe boy.
Shut up. I have them in my backpack still. I can take them out right now. I'll start polishing on the recording. But, yeah, after a while, I just got really bored of that debate because it didn't feel like it was productive or entertaining. So I just switched over and started listening to some Eric Church.
Yeah, I just don't. It just wasn't productive. It didn't really tell anybody what anyone was going for. It didn't address any problem, really. It just stated the problems of both sides, which sometimes is productive, but in this case it most definitely wasn't. Both sides were basically just trying to beat up their opponent, which really doesn't get anything done in the long term. So it was pretty unproductive. I got bored after like 45 minutes of it. It was kind of sad to see, really.
Yeah.
I think that debate was a lot more, at least for Trump, about targeting.
Oh yeah.
He was hitting his mark with a lot of things. He was bringing up scandalous about Joe Biden, about military being terrible, and his son actually in Ukraine.
Yeah.
So I think Trump's main plan going in there was actually targeting a lot of things Joe Biden did. And Joe Biden, I think, was okay. I dropped my phone. Joe Biden was yes, we're professional. Joe Biden was trying to appeal to voters while Trump was targeting everything Joe Biden did.
And that's exactly what their game plan was. Trump's game plan, I think, his strategy was trying to shake up Joe Biden, seeing him, he kind of knew that Joe Biden was a little fuzzy on some things. And if you watch the debates, you can see him every time they get on like a solid line of topics, Trump will try and derail that and switch targets really quickly, trying to throw off Joe Biden, which he did succeed at. If that was his strategy, he did succeed. Now, Joe Biden's strategy was to appeal to the voters and try to get more voters for his cause, which also is something he did. We won't know if he succeeded or not until election. Yeah. Another thing that stood out to me is when Trump went personal with his attacks and started attacking on Joe Biden's son. I don't think that was a good tactical move for him, no matter what side you were on. That it just wasn't a tactical move. Polls show and data shows that after Trump said that, like, Biden supporters went out and donated money to him right after that. So I think that hurt him in the long run.
It was a mess, and I think one of the big problems I had was, Trump was targeting more than anything, and I understand the reasoning behind that, but I don't think it was necessarily the right thing to do. Because at this point, the entire campaign has basically devolved into, ooh, orange man bad, ooh, old man bad. It sounds like they're more concerned in picking each other apart than trying to appeal to us. And last night showed that a lot with Trump.
Yeah. Did anybody else find anything weird about the debate last night? At least anything from Joe Biden's side? What I kind of liked and what I kind of found weird, how Joe Biden rarely ever looked at Trump. He rarely ever looked at him, except in the beginning. He was staring at the camera the entire time. So, in one case, I actually thought he was talking to me, but in some cases it just felt like he was speaking off the script.
I mean, that was his main purpose, to talk to the voters directly, which he did. So that he set out to do that, and that's what he did, and he accomplished it. That was basically his whole campaign. Talk to the people, try and get them to vote. I mean, yeah, it may seem scripted. I didn't pick that up per se, but it's still on.
Before we move on from this, I'd just like to say one thing. I do want to encourage everybody that is of age to go out and vote, because
Oh yeah.
yeah, I mean, you're not helping your country if you don't, and make the best decision you can. Well, that's what you think.
Yeah, I don't care who you vote for. I really don't. I honestly, in my opinion, don't like either of them. But you know what? It's not really. I can't vote yet, so it's not up to me to decide who you're voting for. These are just our opinions on it, not really anyone else's.
And again, just to reinstate what Elliot was saying, these are our opinions. This is nothing stated in fact. This is just our personal observations.
Oh yeah, definitely.
I mean, the last thing that I want is, I hope that this is more informative than persuasive. That's the last thing we want. We don't want to persuade you to any side. We just want to provide information. And if that information persuades you, so be it.
I'd like to call out Elliot on something real quick. I learned this today. Elliot does not like sweet tea.
That's heresy where we live.
I'll make your
Hang
cup
on, I have
red.
a question. So, ever since 1776, when after the Boston Harbor, doesn't that mean the ocean is just really, really weak tea?
Absolutely.
You know what? You're not wrong. Because technically that tea could still be in the water.
Obviously.
I mean, where else would it go?
Did you know there was actually a big molasses flood? I think it was in the Yeah, it should have been in the U.S.
Yeah, that
maybe
was in Boston.
Boston, yeah. People say that some days on hot summers you can still smell the molasses.
I believe that.
Yeah.
I think like 30-something people died in that.
Yeah, 30 people died from a slow-moving liquid.
Apparently there were some kids that used to go around and get the molasses from the tank when it would leak, and they drowned. We shouldn't be laughing at this. But
Without the sauce, the man is lost. But I have seen a man lost in the sauce.
What's the sauce?
1770-03.
you need to be stopped.
You are a man of heresy.
Jesus. Like if you get that joke.
I don't know the sauce. I just voice cracked really hard.
Okay.
Oh my god.
Just a message to the viewers and listeners. For the love of God, do not try 177013. It will actually traumatize you.
Don't.
It's like 230 pages, and it is disgusting.
It is bad.
It is bad.
Like,
I read
remember
it.
that people
read
make
it
stuff
and then
like
was
this.
like, "This
Oh
is
no, the
my
most part
Bible."
of people would get off to it.
I've never seen it, so I'm glad my mind remains untraumatized.
You're lucky.
Yeah, Satan read it and was like, "Yeah, this is my Bible."
Yep. And to be fair, there's probably worse ones out there that haven't been discovered yet, and that's what scares me the most.
Yeah, that scares me.
What else has happened this season? All right, I have an issue that needs to be brought up.
What is it?
I'm gonna say a term, and y'all better react the same way I do. Objective math compared to
That is terrible.
subjective math.
Objective math.
Yes. All right. So 2 plus 2 is
4.
okay, but objective math would be like, all right, now how'd you get there?
So take 2 of your brain cells and add 2 more.
All right, that's too much for my teacher.
Oh, I know. And then you got 4.
All right. So
Fortunately, you didn't have the first 2.
before everyone just gets angry at me, I go to a. How do I put this in a nice way? Not a.
Manure pile.
Yeah, that's one way. But the nicer way would be able to say not a great school. It's a public school, so you can't really do much there. But so I'm in pre-calc. My teacher. We're learning about equations, all that pre-calc thing, right? Pretty basic at this point. Not really that hard. And we take quadratics, and we have to figure out if they're even or odd, which is really simple. It is so simple. Here, let me break it down. You look at the exponents, and you see exponents of x, and you see if they're even or odd. If there are only even numbers, it's even. If there are only odd numbers, it's odd. If they have a mix, it's neither. That is it. That is all that needs to happen. However, my teacher thinks it's necessary for us to replace all x's with negative x to see if it's even, and then I don't even know how to say it's.
Is that kind of like how English teachers say the door is red?
Yes.
But why is it red?
Yes, that is exactly the right connotation of this. It is so useless. It is, 5 lines of work, which doesn't sound a lot, but when you can do it with 0, when you can do something with 0 lines of work,
Oh yeah.
and then you have to do 5, that's just...
I think our school personally this is my opinion, ass backwards.
Oh, it's not exactly the school's fault, it's the school board's fault. See, they still follow the standardized testing for Virginia. That's where we live.
God.
Standardizing of testing is almost always bad, which is why
It's
most
been
people...
bad for years.
Yeah, which is why upcoming voting, there's some laws being passed or whatever, where there's some group trying to make unity standardized testing for the entire country. Now, Virginia is the leading opposer of that. Why? Because we don't like it. But still...
We've had it for years. Why do y'all want to do it?
Yeah. So what you have to understand is that national standardized testing is a great gateway into brainwashing children.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
It is what Stalin did. It is what Hitler did.
Mao.
It is what dictators did. Like almost every dictator started with the
Mao,
youth.
Hitler, Stalin, Pol
Yes.
Pot.
I'm not saying this is what they will do. I'm just saying I don't want the possibility. Let's just not open a can of
No,
worms.
you're absolutely right.
Yep, I just would rather not open a can of worms and hope they don't crawl out.
I'm gonna just be 100% honest with people that are still in school. Almost everything they teach you is going to be absolutely useless.
Oh yeah.
Pretty much after, I'd say, middle school, you're learning jack shit that you're going to use
Oh, yeah.
unless you pick a very specific career field.
Alright, so most of you probably listening don't know, but I went to trade school to learn to be an electrician. So basically past 9th grade, all the math skills I learned were useless. All the science things I learned was useless, except for physics that I'm taking today. Not today, well, yes, today, but this year. I mean, it's fun to know.
Yeah, physics is useful in certain areas.
Yeah, for story building, I use physics a lot.
Oh yeah, he does. He definitely does.
Calculation for force of impact.
This man has single-handedly found a way to tear apart our fleet.
Oh yes, I will deconstruct anything these guys make with logic, and it's fantastic.
He's
It's
like
so
a-
fun.
He's like me with old TVs, taking it apart. Well, I want to say something.
But yeah. Before that,
Okay.
so math, science, completely out the door. Don't really need it.
What about English?
English.
English.
All right, you
Forgetting
don't
it in
learn
college, and that's
anything
about
in
it.
English past 9th grade. You really don't.
Am I the only one who thinks that they teach you the exact same thing every year in
They
English?
do.
What they do
I'm-
is they reteach you the exact same thing, and they teach you like 3 new mechanics to use, and then they just put more restrictions on your work.
Isn't that just FIFA?
Yep.
If you think about it, that's just FIFA. But the thing is, I know who instituted this system. How we have math and English every year. That used to not be a thing. That is from Bill Gates.
All right, so I think English should be kept every year because
Yeah, I have to agree with you on that.
I mean I just think I think it should be more closer to like debating side rather than just English because you can only learn but so much English. English majors speak the same English that we do. They don't learn a fancy version of English.
They don't learn Anglo-Saxon English, Old English.
I mean, they might learn how Latin had an effect and how different languages had, but they're not learning a special kind of English.
One thing I'd like to see with English is I want people to understand better how to kind of pick apart something and detect bias in it, and they do teach you that to an extent. But in today's world where there's so much information from so many different sides and perspectives, it would be good and very beneficial to people to kind of look at this and say, okay, this is a bunch of bullshit, this is still bullshit, that's kind of bullshit, also bullshit.
I think it would be very wise to teach kids how to think for themselves, but also understand that sometimes they are wrong. As
Yeah, that would be nice too.
Yeah.
I don't like how kids are being taught that, hey, we're gonna hold your hand and take care of you.
Yeah.
'Cause that can't be the reality.
I mean, I'm a great example of this. Y'all two can vouch for me. I live here.
Yes, you do live here.
Yes. We're recording in my house. I don't care. I live here, but I'm not handed everything. I had to work for my phone. I had to work for my privilege to drive. I had to work for everything. And that's a great lesson to teach kids.
Mm-hmm.
You just can't be handed it.
Oh yeah, I wish I had that.
So, like, a good point is, well,
Your parents
public
aren't there to
schools-
hand you everything. They're there to help you
Yeah.
to get everything.
I think this goes back to schools and government to an extent. I mean, you look at public schools, if you have like a broken door or, exposed wiring, they're going to take their sweet time fixing that, right? So if teaching kids to be so reliant on other people, especially like authorities, and when those authorities are so unreliable,
Never be reliant on authority figures.
Oh yeah.
You have
Also-
to carve your own path.
Also, like you were saying, my parents also taught me like basic handyman skills. Like I can change this floor if I need to. I can put up drywall. I can tape and fix it. I can paint. I can do all. I'm not good at it at all, but I can do it. I can do it if I brought to the point where I need to.
Also, I know a lot of people have a problem with this, like parents telling them what they need to do. Unless they know something you don't. I've had my parents and my grandmother, though with good intentions, but as you all have heard the famous saying, the road to hell is paved with good intentions. They want me as everyone knows, well, not everyone in the group, I should say, knows I'm a history buff. And so my grandmother wants me to teach history at a college near us. But I'm not really good like that. But you know what I like to do? I like to take things apart. So what I've recently taught myself to do, I watched a lot of videos on YouTube about scrapping. So what I did is I got my old PC, a 2007 Vista. Yeah, laugh. I never used it. I never knew what was on it. I took it apart by my hand, by myself. Krunged did help me though. He helped me with lights. I took that whole thing apart, and now I'm left with pieces of casing, a CPU, motherboard, RAM. That's how I learned what most of these computer parts was, by taking apart a computer.
As cliche as it sounds, paving your own path is in most cases, the best thing you can do for yourself. It just, you wanting to do something and then going out to do it, you will probably do much better
Oh yeah.
than someone telling you to go do something you're good at, because you have no motivation to do it. I.e., me, as another example, I excel at math. I love math. But I don't do well in math class because
Forced to do it.
forced to do it. And also because they always want this certain way to do it. I can never do it the way I want to, even though I get the same answers.
yeah.
I never got that about school.
Yeah.
Also, they're not teaching us everything.
Oh, no.
They're actually skipping out on critical parts of history.
Oh, yeah.
Like in my World War I class, like U.S. history, we went into World War I for about a year, almost, maybe a couple months.
A couple months.
They skipped over a critical war hero in World War I, Alvin York.
They always
This
do.
man captured over, 250 German soldiers?
Something ridiculous like that.
Yeah, alive,
One man.
with a pistol, charging at a machine gun nest. He made it to the rank of sergeant, or staff sergeant, I think it was. There's a Sabaton song about him called 82nd All the Way. It's actually really good, and it describes his actual battles very well.
I knew that one was coming.
Oh yeah.
And I agree with you to an extent on that. I believe that people like that have done very meritorious things, Alvin York. I had his name and I forgot about it. What's that dude on Hacksaw? The guy that wouldn't pick up a gun.
Hacksaw Ridge.
I just think that people who have done
It's
great
not Audie
things.
Murphy. It's not Audie Murphy.
No. Desmond Doss.
Desmond Doss. Yeah, that dude.
I just think that people who have done great things should be recognized for those things,
Yes.
Oh yeah.
even if they're terrible.
Winston Churchill.
Adolf Hitler. He did great things. They were very bad, very terrible, but they were great.
You have a point.
as a quote from Harry Potter, he did great things.
That's not what I mean. I'm talking
Very
about
bad, but great things.
To pick up on what Elliot said,
Great as in large mass, not value.
So
I'll let you go first.
I'd like to go back to what Elliot and Rex were saying earlier about kind of paving your own path. I'd just like to say, if you have the choice between say make $30,000 a year and work a job you love, and $100,000 a year working a job you hate, take the $30,000. Work, be happy with what you're doing. You'll never work a day in your life.
Money isn't everything.
Yeah, exactly. Like
Money
just
corrupts.
for example, my parents wanted me to be a civil engineer, and I probably end up making good money. There's a big demand for that right now. I could have also gone to a trade school, maybe learn and do electrician stuff, plumbing,
Yeah, you could
Well,
make
that's
a
the-
lot of money too.
and I could make a lot of money doing that. But that isn't what I want to do. I want to join the Marine Corps, and then after that, I want to maybe get into gunsmithing.
Ooh.
But yeah, I really like gunsmithing.
All right, everybody. Thank you for attending. We've unfortunately run out of time, even though we were starting to wrap up with some really good topics. But it's such is the way of life. Things get into the way. We have to move on. So, thank you for tuning in. It would mean so much to us if you like the video and subscribe. It would mean more than you could possibly imagine. I really hope you liked it. Share it if you want to. We can't really make you. We just keep
We
it.
can't force you.
I'll steal your mattress.
Not yet.
Oh my god. All right. So, thanks everybody. See y'all soon. See ya.